All right, welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show. We're a top 100 ranked real estate team here in Tampa Bay. We have a unique advantage with our radio and TV show syndication. So if you're thinking about selling a property, we'd love to talk to you. Commercial, vacant land, and residential properties. And we rank in the top 100 out of 25,000 teams here in Tampa Bay. So we're going to help you sell faster for more money, utilizing our innovations with radio, TV, and internet marketing. Now, we're also a consumer advocate. Everything we do here on the show is all geared towards being a consumer advocate, helping you understand your buying decisions, helping you avoid a lot of the scams, and protect your money, protect your wallet in a lot of cases. So we do that by bringing on all of these great expert contributors, attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors. And today we got one of our favorites and one of our best, Alex Lima, BlackBelt Fitness and Martial Arts, in studio. And we're going to talk about self-defense and, of course, protecting your assets, protecting your home, protecting the family. Alex Lima, welcome back.
What's up, my man? Always great to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good to have you, man. So a lot of stuff to get to, like always. I want to just jump right into some of these different stories as we saw the Durham report came out this week. And again, just completely exonerating Trump. There was no Russia collusion, and it's also shedding light on the left and their lies once again. I'm just going to play a quick clip, and then we'll comment on this.
The Department of Justice released Special Counsel John Durham's long-awaited report on Monday on the origins of the FBI's investigation into the now disproven Trump-Russia collusion narrative, and the report leveled some damning allegations against the Bureau. Daily Wire reporter Tim Pierce is here to break down the report. Hey, Tim. So it took more than 2 years, but it's finally complete, and it really shreds Operation Crossfire Hurricane. What's the main takeaway here?
Hey, John. The report is lengthy, over 300 pages. But the point that Durham drives home, and the details of the report make clear, is that the FBI's actions regarding its investigation into Trump's 2016 campaign, Crossfire Hurricane, were utterly unsupported by the evidence. FBI officials went against their own rules to push that investigation forward. At the same time, Durham said the FBI exhibited a double standard in the way it handled intelligence that the Clinton campaign had schemed to tie Trump to Russia to distract from Hillary's email scandal. Durham directly attacked the integrity of FBI officials involved in the Trump-Russia investigation. He wrote that new rules implemented by the FBI after the Crossfire Hurricane debacle are useless if the Bureau has abandoned the FBI's guiding principles of fidelity, bravery, and integrity. Despite all that, Durham's report does not recommend any more prosecutions over Crossfire Hurricane.
Yeah, so why, it's like, where's the accountability? But it goes on to talk about, so again, fidelity, bravery, integrity, that's what they're supposed to be. There's not much integrity in what they did. And then also British intelligence basically came and said, hey, that they questioned where they were going with that. So British intelligence knew about it. So, you look at Trump, they spied on his campaign. They had these hoaxes going on throughout. Not only, is it election interference, but it's also, illegal prosecution in a lot of ways.
This is just absolutely crazy. Like you said, where is the accountability, right? And a
little closer to my.
Where's the accountability? Little side note. Funny enough, just probably about, I'd say, less than a month ago, purchased a readable copy of the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah.
It's completely unconstitutional.
Yeah.
What's happening here? The government, our leaders, literally weaponize their resources to attack and defame a man. So my thing is, again, I'd really like to actually get Jason Colball's perspective on this.
Yep. Can
he not sue them for defamation of character?
Right.
I mean, that is absolutely crazy. Complete lies. You completely, it was smoke and mirrors to distract from a greater, stronger, more negative agenda going on.
Yep.
This is wrong. That's some scary stuff that they are that powerful. And that's our Constitution was put in place for the government to not be that powerful and be able to do things like this.
It's so bloated.
It's wrong. It's very wrong.
Yeah, the government's bloated, the budgets are bloated, the number of employees, I mean, the number of employees, I don't know it right offhand, but it's an amazing number. If you pull that up, it's crazy. But I thought Matt Gaetz had a good point here. Matt Gaetz said that Democrats should want to reform the FBI since it's been used against them also not that long ago. And the article goes on, he was on Newsmax talking to the Right Squad, but he stated that they should take an interest in reforming the FBI in the wake of the Durham report because the FBI has been weaponized against people of the left before and called for rescinding new funding for the headquarters. So I guess Pelosi had passed $325 million to fund a new FBI headquarters in D.C., but he goes on to say that not too long ago, the right-wing FBI was a right-wing organization weaponized against civil rights leaders. Remember with Martin Luther King?
Yeah.
A lot of people say, John F. Kennedy. They were behind that. That's bad for civil liberties, and the firings, and also this FISA court. Basically a private court where they can put up again. This was a fake dossier that was utilized to create this whole snowball effect.
Yeah, I mean, again, that was almost I don't want to say verbatim, but they said it right there. It's been weaponized. That was better articulated in more detail, but in summary, it's been weaponized, and that's wrong. I mean, how are people really okay here in the United States living in a nation, living in a world,
right,
where these tyrannical things can happen to you, invasion of your privacy, weaponization of your government resources that are supposed to be protecting us, or at least that's the way it was sold to me, man.
Right, we're vulnerable.
These things are supposed to be in place to protect me, my rights, my family, my money, my nation, my jobs, my schooling, my education. Us.
That's right.
And they're not being utilized this way.
No.
Not everything. Now, I'm not going to say that every program across the board is a complete fail and a lie.
Yeah.
But a lot is. I mean, that's why, again, back to, man, props. Thank God that I'm blessed that I was born and I live here in Florida.
Yep.
And we have DeSantis as our leadership.
Yep.
And the things that he's signing into place. And basically, I love what he's doing. He's basically making it like where Florida is unlivable if you're like a leftist.
Right.
It's like, well, we don't do this, we don't do that. You can't, if you're illegal, you can't get a job here. No, we're not going to have these woke agendas and trans stuff in school. So go to another state where they are doing it.
But it also shows you, though, again, it's the left lies, right? So they're going to say, oh, they're banning books in Florida. What kind of books are they banning? Let's take a look at this. Let's read it. And it talks about, it goes into some graphic, sexual graphic stuff about the girls V and the guys thing, going into the like. Those are books that we don't want our 3 and 4 and 5 year olds.
It's inappropriate. It's inappropriate.
Not teenagers, not even teenagers. Talking about kindergarten age kids, kindergarten kids. So they just lie about it. The same thing with the voting. Whenever they move the All-Star game, I mean, you basically pick a topic and they lie. They just flat out lie about it. But I want to move to the southern border. If you just joined us, we're talking with Alex Lima, BlackBelt Fitness and Martial Arts. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes, and we touch on some of these topics because we just feel it's relevant, and these are things that we want to get to here. And it comes down to self-defense too, Alex. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But this southern border is just such another major issue that under Trump had it sealed off to a certain extent. There were about 1,000 apprehensions a day. Now that number is triple, quadruple, and I mean, you name it, the numbers are high. And of course, with Title 42 going away, here's a story. It says a large group of migrants surrendered to the Border Patrol agents in Eagle Pass, Texas. Group totaling nearly 300 migrants crossed the Rio Grande Eagle Pass Saturday, despite heavy rains, thunderstorms, inclement weather. They went on to say that there nearly 170 of them were Venezuela, and the heavy downpour kind of slowed down that process. But I do have a clip from Senator Ted Cruz I want to play about, because this speaks to the lies and misrepresentations of the left again.
I pulled out my cell phone and I began taking pictures and recording it. And the Biden DHS they'd sent this little political operative who jumped in front of the camera and tried to block me. And she was the right hand to the head of CBP. And her job was prevent the American people from seeing the disaster they were creating. And so, I kind of laughed and said, well, you're about to make yourself famous. And I think that video that I took on my cell phone, because they wouldn't let news cameras in, it ran on just about every news station.
It did.
And it showed, and at one point she was yelling at me, respect these people, respect their dignity. And I said, you respect these people. You're the one that have locked them up in cages like animals, and you leave. They were stacked. You saw children shoulder to shoulder lying on the floor on mats with silver reflective blankets. There was a rate of COVID positivity among the kids that was through the roof, and the Biden policies kept having thousands upon thousands and ultimately millions of people coming.
Yeah, so this we all know this is a veiled opportunity or action to bring in more voters. They're going to, one thing that they try to do, that they're going to do, is in many cases they'll try to enable these folks to be able to vote, and they give them free cell phones, free food, free rooms, free hospital rooms. By the way, they just kicked health insurance. They just kicked out a bunch of veterans in New York out of hotel rooms. I guess they have some kind of a program. There was a nonprofit that contacted the New York Post. I heard about this on Mike Gallagher's show, and so it's been checked. But they have these hotel rooms that, I guess, if there's extra vacancy, hey, yeah, sure, we'll let the homeless folks stay in here for a while. They kicked out the homeless veterans, people that served our country, people that maybe, lost an arm or a leg or a foot or whatever, in favor of these illegals. But they were just talking about in that clip, respect these people. So when you look at it, to me, it's a ruthless and relentless agenda. It's a win at all cost agenda in my mind.
Yeah, it's a twisting of words, and like they often do, is it's extreming certain bullet points.
Yeah.
I want to be very clear. Like I have a heart. We have a heart. You and I have hearts. We're good people. Are considered as good people, anyways.
Yep.
Whatever other people may think, but we want to see people doing well. It's not that we don't want these people, these immigrants, to not have a fair shake at life. It's not that I understand completely. They live in a not great place, or they're from a not great place, and they want better for themselves or their family. But that is not the case across the board of what is coming through.
Yeah.
They just had that guy that he was on the FBI he was a terrorist on the FBI watch list. Did you see that?
Yep.
He came through.
Several of those.
We got him. We caught him, but that's one of how many. You know how many actually got through?
Yeah.
Dude, we don't have the numbers on that.
Well, it's American sovereignty too. You don't have a country if you don't have a border, and that's unfortunate. Right now we don't have a southern border. It's even happening in the north, from what I hear too. But yeah, it's we do have a heart. We want these people, but I also have a heart for people in America. What happened to the folks in Ohio with the train derailment? I wonder how they're being treated, right? There's a lot of these different places. There's America first, right? Let's make America first. Let's focus on our people, not the, I think Trump said on the CNN town hall the other night, it's something they try to claim. The left says it's something like 3 or 4 million. He says it's closer to 15 million that have already got into our country.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of where I was going with that too. Is I feel for these people, but now is not the time.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of things going on in the U.S., man. The value of the dollar. We got, let's face it, enemies on the outside teaming up together. All these nations coming together to defunk our currency, joining their militaries and things together, getting reconnaissance information on us via balloons and TikTok and other things, right?
Yep.
Now is not the time to be worrying about or playing with pronouns and immigrants and like all these other stuff. There are greater factors. There are greater things at play that we need to focus on.
We're about to get sucker punched, is what I think.
If you don't pay attention, you will. That's how you get sucker punched. You're looking one way and then you get clipped on the other side. I've been there. I've been there in the street getting sucker punched,
I fear that it's a setup for 24 to where they're going to allow some type of an invasion and blame it on China, blame it on Russia, whoever. I feel that certain factions of our government are involved in that already. I mean, let's look at it. Let's look at the laptop. Look at all the money being sent through all the different corporations being reported. I mean, this is reported on Fox News. This is not breaking here, but let's take a quick break there. When we come back, I want to talk more about self-defense with Alex Lima and what you should do in these different situations. We got a Marine charged for second degree. Looking for it here. What was it? He put the subway guy in the chokehold here. This thug on the subway in New York, and he's being charged now. 24-year-old Daniel Perry. We're going to talk about that story and self-defense with Alex Lima, Black Belt Fitness and Martial Arts, coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Make sure you follow us online. We'd love to connect at Brandon Rhymes 1, at CQB Show on Instagram, as well as consumerqb.com. We'll be right back.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
All right, we're back. Brandon Rhymes here with Alex Lima, Black Belt Fitness and Martial Arts. We're going to dive into this story from the Manhattan DA's office. They chose to charge Marine who put Jordan Neely in a chokehold on the New York subway. So this is another long tail of these different stories, the similar stories that you see happen where the person that is either defending themselves, or in this case he was defending a train load of passengers, bystanders, innocent bystanders from this thug who has a long rap sheet, broke a woman's jaw, has just a noted, and again, probably back to mental health. It's probably, again, another situation where it should be a mental health situation, and not attacking the guns like of course, the left always loves to do. But anyways, he goes in to talk about how he surrendered to the 5th District Precinct at request of New York County District's Attorney. He also did so voluntary with his dignity. He says, grateful for serving his nation. The city is currently grappling with significant tension following the May 1st killing of Neely, 30-year-old, who had lengthy mental health concerns. 42 arrests. I mean, come on, 42 arrests. The Post reported, and he goes on to talk about how they're seeking charges. Legal experts think that would instead the grand jury put the decision on the grand jury. So, anyways, here you have a Marine, Alex, and he's looking at this guy basically losing his mind on the train, puts him in a chokehold. The guy unfortunately passes away, and and by the way, I haven't seen a toxicology report. I wonder if there were drugs in his system. What else was maybe the cause of this? Probably not a clean bill of health on this guy as far as that goes either.
Yeah, I mean, we can't confirm that, but so there's a couple things there. One is, so let's go to the Marine for a second. I apologize for not really knowing his name and backstory too much, but
Daniel Perry.
Daniel Perry. Okay, so he is someone who was trained to protect and defend. He is trained to recognize threats, evaluate if a threat is truly a threat, and then take that threat head on. And I believe that's what he did in this instance here. He doesn't come off, or at least what I've seen from the training and stuff, or from the videos, that he doesn't look like someone that's just a sociopath that just decided to jump on somebody's neck.
Yeah.
Okay. You have somebody who has a history, going to the other guy now, has a history of being violent, has thrown people, from what I hear, to the railroad tracks. He's punched an elderly person or woman, broke their orbital socket, like just all around not a good person.
Yeah, Jordan Neely. Yep.
And my thing is this too. So this is another thing that's a theory, because I wasn't there, right? So typically people that ride subways, you frequent riding the subway. Right. So I don't think this is either guy's, obviously, their first time being on the subway. I would imagine too this Marine had seen this guy before be aggressive on the subway before, something like that too.
Yep.
So now you're seeing somebody who has a history of being violent. You've seen him get one way before. Dude, I don't know. I'm the kind of person, I'm with him, that I would like to think that in a moment like that, I'm gonna take action. I can't wait to see if he's gonna pull out a gun, start killing people, or whatever he's gonna do. Right. So he took action. Now, unfortunately, his actions ended up being lethal. But if you watch the videos, because they like to cut the video short, after he let go of the choke and stood up, he actually went to go check on the guy. And the guy was moving and stuff. He helped to put him in what we call in medicine is the recovery position, the lateral recumbent. Put him on his side, so in case he threw up when he woke up, let blood flow start getting back to him. So he tried to help this guy as well. He didn't have like lethal intentions.
Yeah.
At least it doesn't appear that way.
Absolutely.
But he's also in New York, and that's a horrible place to be caught in a situation in the legal system, because the way they are about self-defense and
of course.
So it's
just like
terrible.
Just like Kyle Rittenhouse, he had very similar. We've talked about this before. I want to move to this clip too about with Dennis Prager. He's talking with Charlie Kirk, because in the Bible it says an eye for an eye.
Yeah.
It's a lot of times misunderstood what that actually means, and with Prager, he actually speaks Hebrew, reads Hebrew, he can translate it. But it's interesting because this kind of plays along with our friend Bernie Jocks with what they did in the state of Florida with the death penalty.
In the American context, or the kind of current modern context, the idea of eye for an eye has been completely discarded, in the sense where they say, we must have criminal justice reform, or we must not have the exact justice upon you. So how do you take that teaching? Because as you write in your essay, you can't just chop somebody's leg off for a leg. You have to then use prudence and wisdom.
Right. So in the case of eye for an eye, the only one that was ever meant literally is life for a life. And most people, even Christians and Jews who know their Bible, don't remember this. When God creates the world, he gives very few laws. Genesis has almost no laws. All the laws are in the later 4 books. One of them is, if a human being takes another human's life, by humans shall his life be shed, for in the image of God man is created. In other words, if you don't take the life of and it's clear constantly, it has to be premeditated murder. But if
Yeah, so it's premeditated murder, and even with the Ten Commandments, it's not "thou shalt not kill," it's "thou shalt not murder," right? Because you can kill in self-defense, right? That's a allowed action. So it's not "thou shalt not kill," and it's not an eye for an eye. You know, sometimes people think that, but Prager, what an awesome person. You know, providence and wisdom. You know, that's the difference between some of these. Call them liberals that go to Harvard or whatever school, get these fancy degrees, but they have no wisdom. They don't have any of that biblical truth backing them. But yeah, the idea of life for a life, death penalty, Bernie Jocks, they just passed that in Florida. Now it doesn't have to be a unanimous decision for death penalty for that. For example, the shooter down in Parkland.
Yeah.
Now they passed this law to where it's just a majority.
Majority decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's really hard to, especially in that scenario, to have 12 agree on, especially in today's.
Yeah, it just takes one snowflake, and
It
now
takes
you're off.
one, and then now you have the hunger, and it's not going to happen. You know, so bad for those families in the past that they didn't see justice or whatever they felt. And then here we are, well, we have been in the past, anyways, paying to maintain these people that we know without a doubt committed these heinous crimes. You know, but I want to be clear too. Like it's not like I'm all for, even though I'm the self-defense guy, and listen, I'm not scared to get in a fight, and I've been in my fights, and I've choked people out in the street too. Thank God it didn't turn lethal, but I don't want to see these things. I don't want violent things happening. We don't want, but we live in a world where it is a fact. It's not something that's just unavoidable, so you have to be prepared for it.
And that's why you have the rule of law. When you have these rules and you have these laws and you have the justice happen, and you have the consequences to the actions, that's when that's a deterrent. But what they've done in California, the $999, you go in and steal stuff, these over and over we see these Soros-backed DAs allowing these criminals off. Again, it's just like Neely with 42 priors. They're letting these people off, so it's emboldening the criminals. And like we said before with the police, they're like, hey, it's not worth my $42,000 or $68,000 a year to get,
Yeah, I'm with you. You're absolutely right. That these people don't have a fear of repercussions.
Yeah,
and
that's
there
the key.
needs to be a healthy fear of repercussions.
Absolutely. Alex Lima, Black Belt Fitness and Martial Arts. Find him online. Also, thanks to attorney Millia Thannison as well. Another great show. We want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another. Be a force for good in the community. And pray for our country. Lord knows we need it now. Thank you so much for joining us on the Consumer Quarterback Show. ConsumerQB.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback. Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer,